what's up? What's going on? Welcome into the Daily Score. I am Mark Grote, along with our executive producer, Ray Diaz. And yes, as you might be able to see on YouTube, we are coming at you from my kitchen in downtown Chicago today. It's just the way of the world. This was the most convenient place for me to do it today. You never know where this podcast is going to originate from, but it's my kitchen today, and I'm cooking up a casserole right now. As a matter of fact, let's give you the finished product. No, I don't really cook very much, but if I did, I would for sure share with everybody. Welcome into the show. This is episode 2, and this week, Tuesday, July 25th, the Chicago Bears report to training camp. And specifically on this day, we will talk to the general manager of the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles. We will talk to the head coach of the Bears, Matt Eberflus, and it says on the email I have from the Bears, select players will be speaking as well. So it begins. We get the grind going of training camp leading into the preseason and heading into the regular season as well. So what we're going to do today on the Daily Score is I am going to give you my top 6 Chicago Bears of consequence that are not the following: Justin Fields, Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, and Tremaine Edmonds. I'm leaving those guys off because it's too easy. I wanted to make this a little bit challenging for myself. And again, if you're following along on YouTube, love to hear what you guys have to say. Comments anywhere, the good, the bad, the whatever. It's a podcast. So let's start this. Again, my top 6 Bears of consequence from 6 to 1 that are not Justin Fields, Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, and Tremaine Edmonds. Because those guys are all very important, and they are of consequence, probably higher than just about anybody. So number 6 on the list of consequential Bears this year is Gervon Dexter. And by the way, not Gervon. Let's get that out of our system right now. He is Gervon Dexter. I don't believe he ever was Gervon Dexter, and I don't think he ever will be. So it is Gervon Dexter, the second-round defensive lineman out of Florida. And it is very difficult to rely on a rookie defensive lineman to pop in that first year. It is a difficult position from which to transition from college to the NFL stage. But this was such a poor area for the Bears last year that it just has to get better, and it has to get better quickly. And a big part of the hope of what you are doing with the defensive line is Gervon Dexter. Zach Pickens, obviously, to a slightly lesser degree, too. But I've got Gervon Dexter at number 6. The guy is massive. I mean, he is what we call a legit 6'6", and 313 is what he's at. And he walked into the room where we interview him, and he is, like I said, he is legit. And I hope for good things. Just a couple notes, too, from being at the mini camps and the OTAs and all the preseason stuff. He was mostly working with the second and third stringers. I did see Matt Eberflus at times working one-on-one with Gervon Dexter, which was very cool to see. Not that he hasn't done that in the past with other players, but it was noticeable that the Flus was working with Gervon Dexter. So he is my number 6 Bear of consequence. Number five is Braxton Jones, the Bears starting left tackle. Here's the thing about Braxton Jones. Let's say it was a successful season for Braxton Jones last year. It was not a great season. He is no longer a rookie. So I thought that Braxton Jones, while as durable as possible, started all 17 games, which is something he should be proud of and something the Bears should be proud of. He is no longer what I like to call good for a rookie, because he was very good for a rookie last year. Now, let's see if he is actually the left tackle for the Bears for the next 6 or 7 years, or whatever his lifespan in football might be. So that's the next step. There is a next step, obviously, for Braxton Jones, and he is very open about talking about that. And, the big thing for him is to stop the bull rush, the straight ahead attack that he has been out-muscled and outmaneuvered on that many times. Turn on the tape and you can see it too. We all saw it. We all watched it. I saw it up on the sidelines. You saw it on television. Was not hard to identify at times. So it's a big year for Braxton Jones. He's got to show me. He's got to show a lot of people that he is the guy at left tackle. And, you're always going to help your tackles and your offensive linemen, but can he do this on an island too and stop some of the best pass rushers in the National Football League? So Braxton Jones is my number 5 guy. Number 4, I am going to go with Cole Kmet. And it seems like Cole Kmet makes these lists every year because we are just kind of waiting for that next level from Cole Kmet. And, he's had a nice arc in his career. This is, he is heading into his 4th year. Last year, 50 catches for 544 yards and 7 touchdowns for him. But here's the thing. Here's why I really put Cole Kmet on the list, because something that Justin Fields has been missing is that super dependable target. When you're in trouble, when you need the bailout, I think that Cole Kmet could and should be that guy just because of the nature of the position and the routes that he runs and the responsibilities that he has. I think he would be more available to that and certainly amenable to that. So somewhere along the line, the Bears, I think, and Justin Fields has to come up with that guy. And I just happen to think that it could very well be and should very well be Cole Kmet. So let's see if he could get to that next level as well as a tight end, because, I don't know that we ever expected, Cole Kmet to be a star. You expect him to be a starter, which he is. And I will tell you this, the Bears absolutely love Cole Kmet, but I think that there's still another level, and I think he needs to become a buddy of Justin Fields for sure. So that's number 4 on my list of Bears of consequence here on the Daily Score. Number 3, we got another rookie, and that is Tyrique Stevenson, the rookie cornerback out of Miami. And I will just say, the Bears have put him in a position where expectations are really high. And that is because, who else is going to play cornerback for the Bears this year, at least starting on the outside? Such an important position. We know Jalen Johnson is going to start on one side. We know that Kyler Gordon, for the most part, will be on the inside. But who's that other guy on the outside? And I think that Tyrique Stevenson is going to be given every single chance to win that job. Again, when I was watching the mini camps in Lake Forest out there on the fields, definitely with the ones a lot of the time, switching back and forth between both sides. But they were treating him like he's going to get a chance to be the starter on day one. There is no guarantee. And unfortunately, as with a lot of NFL rosters, the drop-off is real after that. Kindle Vildor is a good depth piece for sure. I think Josh Blackwell, the unrestricted free agent that they signed last year as a rookie, is a player on the rise, but probably more special teams. Same with Jalen Jones and a couple of other guys on their roster. So there's some pressure on Tyrique Stevenson. So I'll be watching him very closely. So he's my number 3 Bears player of consequence heading into training camp this week. Number 2 will be safety Jaquan Brisker. He is in a similar category to one of the other rookies on this list, or second-year guys on this list, and that is Braxton Jones, because same thing with Jaquan Brisker. He was very good for a rookie last year, but there were plenty of rookie mistakes for him. There were really good moments and really bad moments for him. But for the most part, watching Jaquan Brisker, you're like, okay, this guy looks like he's got it. There's just something about Jaquan Brisker that he knows where to be. He did, sadly enough, and this is really sad, he did lead the Bears in sacks last year with 4. So 4 sacks last year for Jaquan Brisker. He missed, what did he miss? Was 1 or 2 games last year because of a nasty concussion, which he admitted kind of threw him off a little bit. And, maybe he wasn't quite the same at the end of the year. But I want to see this guy get to the level that I think a lot of us think he can get to. I'll tell you from being in that locker room throughout the week and every day during camp and all of that. Actually, we don't go in there during camp, but during the season, he is turning into one of those guys who has a voice in the locker room, it seemed like, towards the end of the year. And we'll see if he takes that next step to be a leader, and he seems like the type that would be the vocal type of leader. So Jaquan Brisker, number 2. My number 1 bear of consequence, other than Justin Fields, Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, and Tremaine Edmonds, is, drum roll please, Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney, the Bears wide receiver, missed 5 games last year with that broken ankle. The year previous, he did have a 1,000-yard season in the 17-game season. And I think what we forget about Darnell Mooney and our haste to, and there's groupthink, and I am complicit on this. There is the groupthink that Darnell Mooney is not a number 1 receiver. And that's possible. But I think it taints our perspective on Darnell Mooney. And just because he's not a classic number 1, and DJ Moore will take honors on that, just because he is not a classic number 1 does not mean that he is not a very good wide receiver. And I hope that he is healthy and ready to go at the beginning of training camp, because I think he and DJ Moore can do damage together. And obviously, with DJ Moore presumably getting tons of attention, that is going to open up opportunities for Darnell Mooney. And I know that, hopefully Chase Claypool gets off the PUP list and he is part of that. But I look for Darnell Mooney to have a big year this year, assuming he stays healthy. And I look forward to see what kind of shape he is in. I've heard good things in that regard, but we'll wait until training camp before I'll report on any of that. So those are my top 6 Bears of consequence for this season. Again, Javon Dexter, 6, Braxton Jones, 5, Cole Kmet, 4, Tyreek Stevenson, 3, Jaquan Brisker, 2, and Darnell Mooney, my number 1 Bears player of consequence for this season. So, and I'd love to hear, I'd love your feedback too on what you guys think about my list. And what's your list? Who are your top 6 players of consequence? And if you want to use the easy ones, you can, but you got to make these things challenging. And trust me, the majority of the Bears reports will center in some way on Justin Fields when we start hitting it hard this week. Something on the Cubs here before we get out of here on day 2 of the daily score. The Chicago Cubs are in an interesting position right now as we head towards the trade deadline on August 1st. And the idea is, well, I'll tell you what I think the idea should be for the Cubs. Yeah, go ahead and trade those guys that we're all talking about. Cody Bellinger, Marcus Stroman, even, God forbid, Kyle Hendricks. And I'm sure I might be leaving somebody out. Go ahead and do that. Stock your farm, continue to stock your farm system, which is now better, way better than it was a few years ago, because so many of those players were with the Cubs. So go ahead and do that. Continue to stock it so you have this reserve and you have this sustained success, hopefully, during the Jed Hoyer era. But also, I just hit my stove. It's time to spend, Jed Hoyer. It's time to spend money. And I talk about this all the time. I understand that general managers, they like the idea of, and I know fans like the idea of, building from within, doing it with their draft picks, doing it their way. So it is completely theirs, or you could even say ours. But kind of put the ego aside a little bit. That sounds crazy. Put the ego aside and spend. Act like a big market team. The money is there. So you could, look, Cody Bellinger keeps talking a good game about loving Wrigley Field and being very comfortable where he is, but he is represented by Scott Boras. I'll tell you right now, the Cubs probably have a pretty good idea right now about Cody Bellinger, whether or not he would accept an extension from the Chicago Cubs at this point. And my guess is that he is not going to, just because of the history of and examples from Scott Boras. So trade him, get prospects, maybe shoot your shot in the offseason for him. And obviously, if Marcus Stroman is being genuine, if he is serious when he says that he would consider coming back to the Cubs in free agency, and he loves the organization, he loves the fans, he loves Chicago. We've heard all that before. But if he is serious about all of that, test him on it. Test him on it. Trade him, prospects, and then go for it. Try to re-sign him. And I don't have time to go through the whole list of free agents, but act accordingly, and you could put this thing back together very quickly. The Cubs have the means to do it, and they should do it. And I know people, you guys are probably listening and go, oh, that sounds way too simple, or it can't possibly be that simple. It actually is. And you've got some pieces for your core as well that are already here. And Dansby Swanson, I think, being the centerpiece of it. Nico Horner being a big part of it as well. Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki. I'm questioning Seiya Suzuki a little bit at this point, because I thought when they signed him that, okay, when the Cubs are winning, that's going to be your right fielder. I'm not so sure about that anymore. But there certainly are pieces in place. And hopefully you can build around that core, sign players, bring players back, and build up the minor league system. So that is the plan. And that is it for episode number 2 of the Daily Score. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I will be on The Score, so you can listen to me there on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. So that's it from the kitchen today. For Ray Diaz, the executive producer of the show, I am Mark Grote. We will talk to you soon.